Hello. Okay, I guess we're going to get started here after a number of technical issues. I'm David Solomanoff, president of the New York chapter of the Internet Society, and today's event is on the theme of what infrastructure does positively disruptive technology need? And we're using the term infrastructure very loosely to mean any type of support system as well as physical infrastructure. It might be legal, policy, software, protocols, or something else I haven't thought of. And in a moment, we're going to connect with James Dutcher, who is the CIO of the State University of New York Cobleskill campus, which is an agricultural campus, but you tend to think of maybe people in overalls and pitchforks, but they're doing a lot with robotics, the Internet of Things, and in a rural area where they need broadband, and that is an issue. So we're going to have some interesting discussions with him. We're going to get him on Skype in a few moments, and we'll go from there. Hello?
Hi, Jim Dutcher here.
Yeah, David Solomanoff. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. You sound very echoey.
Okay, I'll try to, I'm going to move back from the microphone. We're having a few technical issues, so you're not going to see me, but we can see you quite well. And I've introduced you already as the CIO of SUNY Cobleskill. But if you want to expand a little bit on what your role there and what you're doing, and then go take it from there, and we'll ask you a few questions afterwards.
All right, very good. Well, basically, just as the role of Chief Information Officer at SUNY Cobleskill, I am responsible for the technical infrastructure of the campus, providing IT services to students, faculty, and staff therein. The campus is part of the State University of New York system. We are a very rural and small college, about 2,500 FTE, and probably somewhere between 300 to 400 full-time employees, and that includes faculty. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell as for my role there. And back to you, Dave, for this session.
So basically, it's an agricultural college, but not exactly what you would tend to think of as strictly people farming there. You're doing a lot of stuff with different types of technology, and when I visited, you were showing me your robotic tractors and discussing how you were thinking of using drones to monitor field conditions in your farm. And you also have a paramedic program where the students practice on robotic patients, and you're doing quite a few things like that. So I was wondering if you could just give us a little bit of an overview. You also have an alternative energy center there, which powers a part of the campus. So an overview of some of the technological initiatives that you've got going there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we are, and thank you for the nudge. We are a technical college, and we are in all the areas that you have suggested. All very neat, all very cool, to say the least. I guess starting off with our paramedic program, we have quite the investment made in that facility. We have a 12-room sim lab, in which case there are placed simulated people, mannequins basically, that are made to emulate persons' bodily functions, ailments, etc., for the students to practice on. We had a very good enhancement to that program through a grant from the State University of New York, where we are implementing and integrating Google Glass therein. Since especially wearable tech is a very up-and-coming technology, especially in medical and veterinary fields, for the college and for the students to take advantage of. It's all very neat in that regard. As you mentioned, we have also a very long-term and in-depth John Deere program. And when people think of John Deere, they generally think of, obviously, farm tractors. But what's neat about these in our program here at SUNY Cobblestone is that these are very basically big robots with diesel engines. And these are meant to operate autonomously without any human intervention. Although there is a cockpit per se within the very large tractors. So it's very neat. There's no steering wheel mechanism as one would expect, but rather a series of joysticks, laptops, and a very air-conditioned controlled cabin. And these big machines can be programmed to work a field via GPS coordinates programmed into it prior to. So the analogy would be they're basically big Roombas meant to work in farm fields, as opposed to cleaning a small room in one's residence. So again, very, very exciting technology that students get to get their hands on. What we're starting to explore, and will probably take a year or two to more fully vet with that program, is the incorporation of UAVs for farmers and for John Deere customers to take advantage of. So if you can imagine these large tractors to begin with a series of maybe a dozen or a couple dozen UAVs attached to it, also flying about the field and coming back to home base to report back in. It's very near science fiction, near reality type of program that we hope to have here within the next year or so. You mentioned also our green energy program. We have a number of initiatives underway. We're looking at green energy in a number of capacities. There's the general wind, solar energy production, in which case we're setting up windmills and solar panel arrays and the like. But we also have the word is eluding me right now. It's called a gasifier. And it's basically a big engine that burns fuel twice. And that burning is, in the end, way more efficient and way more clean than an ordinary combustion engine. And for the thought process of how this works, the gasifier would take anything that's burned, generally carbon-type material. So in our case, and being an ag school, it would be anything of farm waste. So excess plant, manure, excess milk production or runoff, anything like that would be fed into the gasifier and initially burned. That first burn is very inefficient, but the gases coming out of it, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and the like, are remixed and sent back into a second engine for a cleaner burn. And the cleaner burn produces primarily water and carbon dioxide with very little other pollution. And from that second burn, we can generate power for your farm, for your home. And our plans are to have it power initially a portion of the campus and hopefully eventually be able to have it power 100% of our campus. Another area that we're very proud of here at SUNY Cobblestone, not too much on the technical end, but it is technically intensive in terms of the facilities that it takes to run it. We have a fish farm on campus in which we are growing endangered species, upstate New York fish species that are endangered. And also it serves a purpose in terms of having that competency within our students to be able to create fish farms on their own or for corporations in order to feed the general population. We have a very good greenhouse program as well. We're looking to get into the Internet of Things in that regard and be able to see what sort of internet-based sensor technologies we can incorporate within our greenhouse programs in order to more efficiently and effectively grow indoor food and crops. So that's pretty much an overview of the, I guess, the neater side of things here at Coldstream.
Right.
So back to you, Dave.
Okay. Yeah, so the next question is, of course, you're in a rural area there where actually bandwidth is, the campus is fairly well wired, but adjacent or surrounding areas actually have a big problem with internet access. And you're looking to upgrade your infrastructure. Currently you have one vendor who we won't mention the name of, but it's a big company. And you're now looking to bring in another competitive internet provider. And all of a sudden, when you started talking to the original vendor, they offered you a vastly better deal, I guess, on bandwidth, as I'm recalling, we were discussing. So I guess that kind of illustrates the need for competition, particularly in underserved areas in terms of bandwidth and internet access. We also discussed, and we have somebody here, Joe, I'm going to, we have, I'm sorry we don't have the video on your end, but we have Joe Plotkin here, hi Joe, who runs a White Spaces wireless internet provider, and we were discussing the idea of having Joe perhaps advise you in the use of wireless, of the White Spaces internet connectivity on your campus. So we'll put you together afterwards if Joe, he's nodding his head. You can't see, but he thinks that's a good idea. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is certainly up and coming, and I look very forward to it being available in our place. And like you mentioned, introducing competition has many, many benefits. We were in a monopoly situation with the aforementioned, not to be said, single provider. And we were pretty much strong-armed into paying a lot of money for our broadband. And to give you some numbers, we were paying somewhere $75,000 to $80,000 a year for just 200 megabits to our campus. Not a lot of capacity, 200 megabits to serve nearly 3,000 constituents, but also very expensive. And with the recent federal opportunities and grants to expand rural broadband that the state has done and taken advantage of, just the mention of the possibility of introducing another provider within our area immediately dropped our price and increased our bandwidth. So now the aforementioned or unnameable provider suddenly made our internet bandwidth go from 200 to 1 gig and lowered our cost from 80,000 to 60,000. Again, just by the mere mention of competition. And so the thought is, by extension, just the thought of competition will introduce price breaks to customers. And imagine what it would do when it's really available. When there's really a second, third, fourth internet provider to a rural area, regardless of how that broadband is coming in, whether it's physical fiber, up-and-coming light space. It's something I hope that comes into fruition within the next couple of years, for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, well, just to quickly, very quickly, bring up one last thing that I forgot to bring up, which is that you're also, in your paramedic program, you're looking to use Google Glass now. You have a Google Glass initiative for the paramedic students so that they have their hands free as they're working.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and not only in our paramedic program, but we're also introducing it within our animal science program. Similar sort of concept. The labs that these students will be using the Google Glass in are very intensive. And the last thing students or the faculty need is to worry about if their devices are working. It's our goal to make sure that these pilot efforts are fruitful for not only our campus, but for other campuses that we're hoping to partner with this time next year. And so we're getting our orchestration down and integration of Google Glass within our campus environment. And we're going to be sharing that experience out with our sister SUNY schools in this effort. We were fortunate recipients of additional Google Glass devices from Google themselves, simply because in conversing with them, our initial procurement was for 15 units. They saw the merit in the use of these devices in our medical and our animal science programs, and their contribution back to us was to double that amount. So we had an additional 15 devices donated to us from Google, which is very good, very exciting, because that is enabling us to get these into the hands of more people to try out, and more importantly, to offer up devices for our sister SUNY campuses to try out and kick the tires on, and again, hopefully establish a formal partnership with us for phase 2 funding and continuation. It's all very neat. In my extension, and it's a good segue in how this relates to the seminar here today. One of the campuses I'm working with is Binghamton University, and they recently were awarded a grant to facilitate telemedicine. And telemedicine is reaching into upstate New York, very rural counties to do medical services and medical programs. And the Google Glass is hopefully going to fit in quite nicely there to see how well this works in a very rural setting per se. So again, all very exciting, all very neat, and looking very forward to what we do in the next year or two here.
Okay, great. Any other thoughts you want to add to this?
Well, just I guess a personal philosophy type thing.
Sure.
Just for folks to think about the rural needs and not to forget about it. It's very easy for folks in urban settings to have internet available as easily as electricity. And I think it's worth our due diligence to make broadband as universally accessible as possible. Just for the economic values, the quality of life and health that the rural communities certainly want to be able to equally take advantage of.
Yeah, interestingly, there's more and more of a interest in urban agriculture around the New York City area, with a number of organizations starting up to help people do that. And maybe down the road we can put you in touch with them, and some of your students could advise people here in the city who are doing things like roof and community gardens too.
Yeah, David, that's an excellent idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Does anybody have a question here, or? I think not. I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, well, thanks very much, and we're going to continue the conversation and bring together, I hope, some interesting partnerships too.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Okay.